my name is Mahmoud Maina, and I was born and raised in Nigeria, had my bachelor's degree in Nigeria, then I came to the UK for my master's and PhD, and I stayed here in Sussex to continue, as a postdoc research fellow. And here in Sussex, since I've been here for quite a long time actually, my work focuses on Alzheimer's disease, which is the most common cause of dementia. It's a public health problem, affects millions of people worldwide, and what I do as a researcher is to try to understand, through basic science approaches, what causes or drives this condition and what can be done to stop it. So this is me, but apart from that, I do a lot of activities which I'm sure we'll discuss today back in Africa. My research focuses on trying to understand at the basic science level what causes or what drives the progression of Alzheimer's disease. And obviously this is a very kind of important question because there is no cure for this disease and there is no effective treatment even. But at the moment, one of the key questions that I've been trying to address is how can we understand this condition, how it develops or progresses in people from underrepresented populations in research. What I mean by that is that Alzheimer's disease was first reported nearly 100 years ago or more than 100 years ago, and since then research has been going on to try to understand what can be done to stop it. But most of the research has focused on either samples or models from European population. And even me, when I started my research, what we've been doing is, towards understanding that from that, lenses. Recently, I got a funding from Sussex Neuroscience to produce a model from African residents. So, at the moment, when you want to understand Alzheimer's, you either want to use a model like animals, say mice or rat, or you want to collect brain tissue from people that had the disease and passed away to try to look at snapshots of what happened in their brains to understand the disease condition. Or you could use like some models in test tube. So over 10 years ago, there was a advancement in the field of stem cell biology, which led to the production of induced pluripotent stem cells. Why that is really important is that a skin biopsy can be collected from an individual, and that skin biopsy can be grown into cells which can be programmed to stem cells, and those stem cells can be programmed to brain cells or any other type of cell in the body. And because they are from human, they can tell us, they can mimic or they can model the disease condition. So if it is collected from someone with Alzheimer's, they can tell us how his brain cells will behave in the disease condition. And they can also be collected from normal individual, and using genetic engineering, they can be made to have Alzheimer's, and then you can study that. So despite this advancement, no such model has been produced from Africa. And it's not just about Africa, but about the fact that the continent has the highest genetic diversity. What that means is that if there are two individuals, for example, one European and probably even one Japanese, their genetics is more similar compared to two Africans staying together. So given that diversity, to understand our human diseases and how to combat them, you really need to also incorporate models or samples from Africa. So at the moment, what I'm doing is to try to produce the first 10 cell models from African residents to now use it to understand how Alzheimer's disease develops in this population and what it can tell us towards finding solution to the disease that can benefit everyone around the world. So I've been involved in a lot of public engagement activities since 2013, starting from Nigeria, where I mostly organize at that time outreach activities to inspire young people to also kind of showcase to them the role models available to them. Because again, as you probably know, in Africa, our textbooks and curriculum is heavily colonized. So oftentimes you don't really know that there are black scientists can do great stuff. So I organize outreach activities to inspire them, and then that really grew into something which led into organizing activities. It's like science festivals to bring scientists, young students, the policymakers and the public to kind of showcase science, for the scientists to showcase the kind of research that they do, and for the policymakers to see what can actually be done locally. And then when I came here, I continued participating in public engagement activities through the School of Life Sciences, Brighton Science Festival, and other activities, also to inspire young students, to tell them about our research. But in a nutshell, that kind of series of engagements and activities that I've been doing led me to launch an outreach program called Train Outreach Program, which is in 2013, and it's like through an NGO that I'm part of called Train in Africa, and because we have a representation across Africa, so the program really became a success. In which we had like close to 100 people from different African countries working together, sharing ideas for public engagement activities. And in 2019, I want to mention this because it's really relevant. In 2019, I got a funding from Wellcome Trust to launch an African Science Literacy Network, and that network is basically like basic scientists or scientists and clinicians kind of paired with journalists to engage one another and to help one another in communicating science. And that is very, very critical, because over the years of my engagement activities, I came to realize that scientists oftentimes are not experts in public engagement, and also they don't have as much audience as journalists. And especially in Africa, one of the key things that for me is to be able to not just inspire young ones, but to also get the public to appreciate the importance of science and the policymakers to invest more in science. The best way to do that is through journalists. So founding that African Literacy Network actually helped in bringing these specialties together, which now they are working together to produce articles, to also communicate to the public, to do a lot of different things, which is really, really good. It's all about what you feel you can do, at your own level, because obviously as a researcher you are busy with your lab experiments and everything, so organizing public engagement activity can be quite challenging. But if there are activities happening in your school and there's a public engagement coordinator or manager in your school, and they are working to get you to get people from the school to organize activities to the public or at the parliament or any other place, I think it's great to get involved, because through that you don't put in as much effort, and you also have your colleagues around you with which to kind of reach out to the public. And also I think there's this 10 program in the UK that happens. You can, one can subscribe to that. They oftentimes organize the activities, and then they send an email to say, oh, do you want to come to this school to give a talk, or do you want to do this? So these are all small ways through which, without getting too much into the nitty-gritty of organizing stuff, you can actually get involved in public engagement activities. And I'm saying this because as an ECR, oftentimes we have a lot of things that we have to do, and we have to go through our line managers to get approval to do certain things. So it can be quite inhibiting if you start thinking, oh, do I have to organize this? But actually you don't have to. Yes, to most extent, and I'm saying yes because I think the person that has really given me the support for all the activities that I've been doing is my supervisor and mentor, Professor Louis Sapen. She has been extremely supportive of all my engagement activities in Africa as well as here in the UK. And it's probably because she understood that, I want to give back to my communities, and my heart is still back there. I want to be able to see how I can improve the state of science there. So, and I think as mentors should always try to see or understand what their mentees' ambition is to try to support them. She understood that. So that has been key to all the successes of my activities over the years. Without that, I wouldn't have done anything. Yeah. And apart from that, also, I think, this doctoral school did supported me in a lot of times, organizing activities in Africa. Apart from that, when Katie was around, the public engagement coordinator for life science, she supported me. So I think there are pockets of people are here and there that really did supported me. But if you ask me, can we do more? I believe that more can be done at the school level. For example, I think at the school level, at the the school, maybe department or the school on its own should probably do more in trying to support, especially ECRs. This can be in terms of maybe funding, or in terms of training. I do know that is happening, but I think more can be done in trying to encourage and support ECRs in public engagement activities as well as other activities that they can do outside their research, such that it can support their career progression. Yes, there are many barriers, I think. One of these barriers for me, especially when I do engage in activities back in Africa, is the lack of funding. So you really need funding if you want to organize activities outside here. But when you are doing it within here, like I said, like the STEM program and other activities being organized, the organizers are there, they have the funding. All you have to do is to go there and get involved. But if you are the one organizing outside here, then you have to find your own funding. So this is a significant barrier, and unfortunately, there are not many funding, pockets available over there, because actually this is the purpose of the activity that you're trying to do. You're trying to get them to appreciate the importance of science. So at this stage, you can't really expect them to give you anything. So oftentimes we have to apply for funding from here. But apart from those barriers, I think cultural and religious misconception is also another major barrier, because for me, for activities back there, there are certain things that I have to be careful in framing them, in mentioning them, so that people would not perceive me as going against culture or tradition or religion. So this is a significant barrier. But I think here in the UK, I think there are not as much barriers as doing it over there. The major barrier here, I think, is to do with the time. But if your line manager is supportive of that, then you'll be able to do it without much difficulty. It has really helped me in many ways. For example, it has helped me to understand the value of the work that I do. We organize public engagement activities sometimes, in collaboration with charities like Alzheimer's Society UK, during which we get to engage with people that have dementia, and that really makes you appreciate what you do has value, what you do has a purpose. Eventually, it is to be able to treat such conditions. And as a scientist, it also helps you to appreciate that, those hours that you put working in the lab are appreciated by other people. And also, I think the questions that you get asked oftentimes when you engage with the public, it helps you in thinking more about some of the questions that you try to address. Because oftentimes they are lay people, they ask you something that you never get asked if it is peer-to-peer, scientist to scientist, And for me personally, when we started, I told you about my current project, which is to produce stem cell modules from African residents. that really was shaped by my public engagement activities, because I realized, that we don't have that much science background, that much science engagement in Africa, and I got into that. But as I was doing that, I came to also appreciate that, in the field also there is underrepresentation of African samples. You could say bias, or underrepresentation, whichever one you want to call it, which is now shaping my research. So at the end, you could see that I am trying to combine, or the work that I've been doing in Africa is perfectly coming together to shape my research, which I want to continue in the future.